Hello and welcome to another episode of the Jimmy Rex Show. I'm here today with Linden Baker. And Linden, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So Linden is one of those extremely rare human beings in this millennial generation. She's 25 years old and she has a giant company that she has started. She started out doing some nonprofit things, saw an opportunity and ran with it. And she's just very inspiring, and I want to get you on to tell your story a little bit. So thank you.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the company that you now run and kind of what you guys do. And then from there, we'll kind of go back into your story a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. So our company is called Fair Kind. So my friend and I started it about 1.5 years ago. And what we do is we work with artisan groups in developing countries. So there are already all these amazing established artisan groups, super talented people who have been doing this for, generations. It's something that's passed on to their families and they're really, really good at, but they just don't have market access. And so kind of during our travels and experiences, we realized that someone needs to come in and bridge this gap between, these artisan groups with all these skills and talents and everything, and companies here who have a desire to give back and do good, but don't necessarily have like a cause or something specific that they're, tapped into yet. And so we kind of bridge the gap. So we connect companies here with these artisan groups, and we do custom products for a number of things, whether it's for resale, like a product packaging type thing, or corporate gifting, or whatever it may be.
And so, you made that sound like it was a very basic thing, but this is like a giant operation in 10 different countries. So you literally go to each different country and find out what the artisans or the people that are basically making handcrafts. Is that kind of the better way to understand it?
It's just all handcraft. It's completely handmade. Yeah.
And you go to that country, see an opportunity, come back, and then you work to add them to your, basically to what you guys sell.
Yeah, and finding the right fit for them, but then also a big part of it is kind of tweaking their products to fit more of a Western aesthetic. And making, especially, the quality standards and everything, making sure that it meets the standards out here.
Okay, so now I want to back up a little bit now that people kind of understand what it is. And by the way, how many people are employed currently that you guys work with that are you guys are working
So the groups
with?
we're working with, and it varies, depending on what orders we have going on at the time, but we have over 2,000 artisans in different countries that we're working with.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
What a great blessing you've been to all these different people all over the world. What are some of the countries that you guys are in right now?
So in Africa, we're in Rwanda, Uganda, and Morocco. And Uganda is really where we started. And then we're in Peru, we're in Guatemala, Uzbekistan, Mexico, South Africa. I'm forgetting some.
I love it. No, it's great. Well, and so now backing up, you're 25 years old. How does Linden become a part of this, launches this giant company at 23 years old?
Yeah.
What happened before that? What were you doing? Like growing up, you graduated high school. How'd you end up in Utah, and kind of what happened from there?
Yeah, so I ended up in Utah because I decided I wanted to study PR, and BYU has a really good program for that. So came to BYU, and, it was totally random. Like, I was pre-law for a while there, like president of the club and like the whole shebang. And then just experiences happen, life happened, and I became really interested in IDP camps in northern Uganda, which are internally displaced persons. And so I was trying to get this research project approved by BYU so I could go there and do some work.
And what got you interested in that?
I don't even know. Like, I think I've always been, for a while, my dream job was to work for the, World, Health or World Human Rights Watch kind of a thing. And so I would get their, year-end report every year, and I would, read and, dig through everything. And one year they were talking about these IDP camps, and I wanted to, dig more in. So I started, trying to get this application done for this research project, and I ended up mentioning it to someone that I knew through pre-law, again, totally random. And they were like, hey, we know someone who just got back from Uganda. You should meet. And so a friend took us both out to lunch, and who I'm meeting is now my business partner.
Okay.
And so anyways, we were both just just clicked right away. And she had just got back from Uganda and had kind of been working on this jewelry thing with a group there, but was kind of at a point of deciding whether or not to keep going, because it was something that was just on the side, and everyone was just kind of throwing in their own money every month to pay these 5 women that they had worked with or whatever. And at the time, I was looking for a capstone internship, and I was just super excited about Uganda and working with people there. And so I was like, hey, let's try and do this. Let's just go hard and see if we can make it work and you know, if not, then fine. What do we have, you know?
Yeah, go enjoy the experience
Right.
and see what can come of it.
Yeah, so we we totally revamped. We launched a new brand and we launched a new website, and we got into retailers. So this is Musana, and we relaunched as Musana International, and we had a new website, and we got in with a few big retailers, and we're kind of growing and doing that. And then as we went along, we kept.
Did you see it like taking this route of this giant business like opportunity, or did you?
No, so like that totally, and I mean, it just was totally out of chance. And I think like one thing is like, I mean, yeah, by chance, but like also be like based on just what didn't work, right? So like we were going like chugging along and like slowly growing, but like really, it was never like we were never killing it just with Musana selling directly to customers. It was just so much work, and like customer acquisition is so difficult, and just, you know, all these things. And we were both wearing like 20 hats and working 5 side jobs. And like, it was insane. Like I never slept. It was like not something sustainable. Right. So, you know, we were doing that. And then I think like, luckily we were really open to like pivoting when we needed to though. So as we were going along, we kept having businesses approach us wanting to do these big partnerships. And so we had a few successful campaigns with companies here in Utah. And that kind of showed us that, like, hey, this is like this niche that we need to tap into. You know, there's these companies who they have a really big marketing or product budget, and they want to like give back and show like their audience that they're doing good, but they don't want to just like write a check to some like nonprofit fund.
Yeah, you never know where the
money's
going to end up
and it's
at,
like their customers and employees have no connection to that. Whereas if they do something with Musana and they, you know, have a product that's attached to it, and they can like meet and talk to these women, it's just so much more tangible. And so after a couple of those partnerships, we decided that we would just totally pivot and only do like those business to business type things. Because the thing is too is that like we as a company, I mean, it's one order, and it's such a bigger scale. And so the work that goes into that is so much smaller. So it just, for everyone, it made more sense.
Well, and so, you know, so by going with these big companies, like when you were first in Uganda, so you were just working one off with a few ladies at a time. Is that what was going on?
So, I mean, so after I came on and we did like the big revamp, we were able to like double and then again add more artisans. So we went from like 7 artisans to 40.
Okay.
And so, and we have like 60 now that we're working with still in Uganda in that group. So we did like see a lot of growth, and we were able to do that. But yeah, we just knew we always wanted to go bigger, and that we wanted to help people in other places too.
So, and pause on the story there for a sec. I want to kind of focus first on Uganda, because it's such I've been to, you know, Haiti and Dominican Republic, all over the world, and seen kind of these artisans and how their lives are in different things. But how did it, give us some examples, like how did it change the lives of some of these women? Do you have any examples in particular that you saw?
So, one of my favorite little girls, her name's Nicole. Like, she has my heart. She is the cutest little kid in the world. She's just so like happy and smiley, and I just am obsessed with her. But her mom, Eve, is just such a sweetheart. And so her mom, Eve, came on with Musana pretty early. And when she first came on, she was like very, very quiet and kind of reserved. And unless you're educated, which so like very little people are in Uganda, you don't speak any English. And so, and Luganda, which is the native language there, isn't even like a fully written language. So like being able to read and write in English is a huge asset in Uganda. And so when she came on, and that's something that we offer is classes in English. So she came on to Musana and started to learn how to read and write. And like not only was she gaining like educational skills and knowledge and everything, but also, like, I think just having those things, it's amazing to see the change in just confidence and self-worth and, you know. And so, yeah, I was going back, you know, every summer, and it was amazing to see, like, each time I would go back, how different she was. Like, all of our women, but her especially, and I think just because I was always going to her house specifically to hang out with Nicole and, like, her brothers and everything. So I spent a lot of time with Eve, and you know, now, like, the last time I was there, Eve could have a full conversation with me in English, which, like, before she could never do. It'd be one of those things where, like, I would, like, ask her something, and she'd kind of, like, look at someone to be like, what did you say? Like, and, you know, because she just wasn't confident in her English. And now she's, like, totally the class clown at our workshop. Like, she's the one, like, when you get there, when we bring people, she'll, like, get up and start, like, singing and dancing, and, like, she's just has this huge personality, and we're like, where did this come from? You know?
Well, and that's the reason that this whole podcast is to highlight exceptional people living extraordinary lives. And the thing that I think is so cool about what you're doing is, you hear a lot of people on social media or on the news talk about they want to empower women or they want to give this empowerment to women, but they aren't really doing anything to actually empower women. Yeah. And your organization, as you mentioned, has helped to empower literally over 2,000 people, and mostly women, I assume.
Women. Yeah. Well, and I think like what's so amazing and like what it's like really important for us to focus on, like sometimes we have the wrong mentality of like giver, receiver, and like, oh, we're these like wealthy people in America and like we're helping these poor people in Africa. But it's not like that at all. Like those people are incredibly talented. Like they are smart and they are like the most courageous, resilient people you will ever meet. Like they are so much more brave, just everything. Like I have so much respect for them. But what's amazing is that it's not that like, I mean, the only problem is that they're lacking opportunity. And so that's the thing, is that like we don't want to go in and give people things. Like people don't need things. They don't need stuff. They need just an opportunity. And it's so much more empowering when instead of, having someone pay for your kid to go to school, you have an actual job that allows you to send your kid to school. Like that's like people want to be able to do it themselves.
Self-worth and that self-confidence comes from that, right? I've talked about this on the podcast a few times before, but my biggest pet peeve with like handouts and like government aid and stuff like that is that it doesn't change that self-confidence of the human. It doesn't give them that empowerment to go out and then do it for other people as well and things like that. And so I think what you said is so valuable. Like I've been to over 40 countries now, and the advantage of some of these poorer countries, right, is these people, they have such good street smarts. Right. I mean, they are survivors. They know what to do.
And they're hustlers.
They are hustlers.
Oh my gosh.
I was in Cambodia like a month ago, and we were trying to find scorpions at night. We wanted to eat a scorpion. Yeah. And they have like street vendors, and we couldn't find one anywhere. And we finally found this like it was an empty cart. It was like 11:30 at night. Yeah. And we're like, where's the guy that sells them, And this little kid, he's like 9, comes running over, and he's this little hustler, this little chubby little kid, and and next thing we know, we'd given him $20 because he's eating a snake and a scorpion. Oh my gosh. But it was like so funny. He had better street smarts than any 9-year-old I've run across in years here in the States.
I know. Okay, I'm always saying too to people that like here we have to like baby our children and stuff. And I don't know how this happens, but I swear in Uganda, like you don't have to tell kids not to touch a hot stove or like tell them not to go in the street. Like they just know. And I don't know if it's like their siblings are looking out for them or whatever, or just like, I mean, because like parents can't constantly be watching their kids, but like for some reason they have like this crazy level of street smarts that we just don't have.
Yep. No, I love that. I love that. Well, so were you always wanting to be a traveler? Is that something that you always did as a child? Did your parents take you to a lot of places? Is that how this kind of spawned the idea? Or
I mean, like Uganda was my first, like, I mean, I'd gone to like Mexico and Canada and like vacations and stuff, but I'd never really traveled internationally until I went to Uganda. So yeah, I mean, I was definitely always interested in just in what was going on in the world. And I think, I don't know, I've always had a really strong sense of justice, and I hate when I know that people are being treated unfairly. So that's kind of where my passion for human rights started. And then from that, I was kind of wanting to go down that path. And then I realized that I could have, more of an impact and make more of a difference kind of using the skill set that I have in this arena.
Gotcha.
So.
And I think there's an irrational fear around traveling internationally
totally,
too.
Yeah.
For people like girls, and you see like a movie like Taken or something, right? Like I've been to 5 countries in Africa, and I've never felt more safe in my life.
Oh yeah.
So explain a little bit of that. Like as a attractive young woman, you were in your early 20s, you're in these random places. Obviously you look different than everybody else there. What was it like? Was it dangerous at all, or
No, I mean, I have had a couple of close calls on like bodas. I hope my mom doesn't see this. Sorry, Mom, love you. But I mean, other than like traffic kind of stuff, because that is the one thing that like you have to be really careful about, transportation stuff, because that can be dangerous. But as long as you're smart about the choices that you're making and you're really aware of your surroundings, you'll be fine. I mean, I wouldn't go, and you have to be more careful in like the big cities. Obviously, don't have like your cell phone out or like in your back pocket. Like you're for sure gonna get pickpocketed if you do that.
Yeah.
But I think as long as you are like aware of your surroundings and don't make stupid decisions, you can totally be safe.
Gotcha. And so once you guys had the success that you had in Uganda and everything else, how did you expand it from there? Because to go to 9 to 10 countries in just a year and a half, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Musana, we like started. So that's like our group, and we still are totally running it. I'm going out in a couple weeks for ribbon cutting on our new campus,
Awesome.
and yeah, so we have our own managers in country who run the show, and we're just kind of in communication with them. But then when we decided to start Fairkind, so Musana is still a nonprofit, and then we started Fairkind, which is kind of this umbrella for-profit company. And so now Musana is one of the artisan groups that we source products from. So there are a group in Uganda, and then we have a group in Rwanda and Guatemala and all over the place. So we already knew, and like I said, like we had already made connections with groups all over, right? Mm-hmm. Like Musana, who were making amazing products, but like their local market is like they can only do so much, right?
Yeah.
And so it was something where like the artisans kind of just like made a little bit on the side when they had an order, but like a lot of the times had no work. And so, yeah, it was just kind of a really unfortunate situation, right? And so we decided that we wanted to like be getting orders for all these different groups and be working with them and kind of tapping into that. And after we had all these businesses approaching us, we decided that the best move was to just pivot and only focus on business to business. Not only because it just makes more sense for our business model, but also for the artisans, because it means that like we can come in and be like, hey, we're making this one product for this company and we'll buy as many high quality baskets as you can make in the next 4 months. And for them, like that's a huge boost of income that allows them to invest in, you know, their family's farm or their kids going to college or whatever it may be. And it's just more sustainable for them than trying to do tiny amounts of a bunch of different products.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. And so you're in 10 countries now. Have you been able to go? How many of the countries have you personally been able to go?
Only a few. So yeah, and I mean the rest, I mean we're in constant contact with the managers that we have in different places.
So how many people are you managing right now?
I mean, it's at least like 10, right? And I mean, sometimes too, it just totally depends on the artisan group and the structure too. Like, so in Rwanda, for example, we have like a manager who's only employed by like our company, because we have like 10 different cooperatives that we coordinate between. And so that's like, it would be way too much to like have to be doing all of that. And so we have one manager in Rwanda who does the coordination with them, and we work mostly through him. But yeah, when we're in country, we're going to each of those different cooperatives to kind of do all the coordination and everything.
And so at this point, do you guys want, I mean, do you have a goal as far as how big you want this to go? Or is it just kind of like the sky's the limit? We want to help as many people as we can?
Yeah, I mean, the sky is the limit. So like right now, I mean, our goal right now is that we want to have enough work that all of our artisan groups have as much work as they want year round. And then from there, I mean, there's definitely more artisan groups that we could be working with, and even just in the artisan groups that we are working with, more local people who could come on and help out too.
So you're 25 years old. I mean, do you feel like, does this cut into your dating life? Does this cut into other things you've had planned originally? I mean, was you, because you adulted real fast. You became an adult very fast, right? So
I still feel like I'm like, I guess it's weird. I'm like still not an adult sometimes.
Yeah, well, you're 25.
Figuring it out and whatever, but I mean, it totally is just like, yeah, there are times like just a few months ago, we had kind of a crisis come up on this one order, and I literally bought a ticket and like left for Morocco. So I had like a day to leave and didn't know how long I'd be there. I ended up staying for a month. So yeah, I mean, I'm single.
No, but I only asked, like when I was young, I was 23 when I started my first company,
right.
And I built it up to about 15 employees pretty quick,
Yeah.
And you're running, I mean, you become an adult really fast. And I woke up one day and I just went like, man, do I need to be doing all this? Like, it was like, that company ended up not working out. I got into real estate a year or two later, but it was like, and I just remember thinking like, man, like all my friends are just, like selling hats at the mall or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like over here like, and it's just, I don't know. Do you ever feel like maybe you're overwhelmed a little bit with it?
Sometimes it is like, I mean, there's all these people, and like, I mean, I know them personally, and like, I care so much about them and their kids and everything. So it's like, there is like the pressure of like, we have to have work for them now. You know, it's not something, because like we just love them too much that we can just be like, okay, like find your own orders.
That probably makes it a lot easier for you though to actually put the effort in every day. But yeah, like it's so motivating.
And I think I feel so lucky because like we work a ton, right? And and sometimes it's crazy and overwhelming, and it's a lot of work, especially in country. But I love it so much that like it's also not really work. You know, like I just love what I do, and I like love the people I get to work with. So
well, what a cool opportunity, though. I mean, you built this opportunity, and I think people that are in college right now, maybe they're trying to figure out, or even adults, right, that are like listening to your story, I think is inspiring so much because it happens really fast. But you took a chance, and then you ran with it. And then you just saw this opportunity and grew with it. So what would you tell people that are like, you know, maybe in college right now, girls in the same situation you were in, they don't know what they want to do. Like, what were some of the key elements that you had? Did you have any mentors along the way? What were some of the key things
so we
that happened
actually,
for you?
mentors have been amazing for us. So like when we first got started, we won a couple business competitions at BYU. And the advisors that we have from that are like now on our board and like have been huge, like amazingly helpful. Like the type of people that like we can call at midnight and be like, we don't know what to do with this client. Like, you know, so yeah, we've had amazing advisors and we've been so lucky. But I think like something people don't realize is that, and I mean, now like, yeah, we're like a successful business and like it's going and everything. But like there were so many times, especially like in the first few years with Musana, where we were so ready to give up.
Walk us through that a little bit. Do you have a specific time or maybe?
Well, I mean, like we were a nonprofit, and so that's the thing. I mean, shifting to for-profit has been a game changer for us, and it just makes so much more sense with this business model. But as a nonprofit, I mean, and I was like still in college for part of this, so like I'm a student. I'm, you know, for sure way more than full-time working for Musana, trying to do like other internships and stuff on the side, and just like keep up with life, you know. And there were so many times where it was like so overwhelming, or times where like we like needed to pay our artisans and we're like, we don't have enough money to pay them. Like literally we're like looking at our bank account and we're like, what do we do? Like, you know, and like it just something always would work out though. Like we would, and I mean, we'd hustle, right? And so we'd get the retail order we need, or, you know, a grant would come through, or just something would always happen. And so, yeah, I mean, I think like it always looks like it's more together and like people have it all more figured out than it is. And I think like that's something that people don't realize because yeah, it just always seems from the outside.
Businesses always look like everything's going like a straight line to success, right? But really it's like this zigzaggy
it's all over the
line.
place, yeah. And like you have to be willing to fail often. Like if you look at where we are now, like we started trying to sell directly to retail customers and to like be this big Tom's-ish brand kind of a thing. And like we have totally changed. Like we're not even close to what we were when we started. And I think like you have to be willing to just like eat your pride and fail. Like fail often and like get back up, you know? But that's the thing is like you have to just be willing to like get over it and move, like make the pivots that you need and like make the changes and just move forward and like don't look back.
Oh, that's great. Well, so as a kid, were you that way too? Like, were you just like this little hustler that would run around and try different things all the time? Or
so, you know, it's funny. As a kid, I was like, I hated it, but everyone always called me bossy as a kid. And like back then, I hated it. And
you're not bossy now, though. I mean,
I feel like I hope not.
We've been on trips together. We've gone several different nights out, different things with groups of friends and stuff.
Right. I mean, I feel like I'm pretty like chill. I would hope
now,
so. But that's the thing, especially like when you're a kid, like bossy is the worst thing you could be. And I think I was just more of like, if there wasn't a leader in the group, I was like the one to step up and be like, let's do this. And so, yeah, I mean, I've always been like, I like to have things going and like moving, and I don't know. I've kind of always liked to have a lot of stuff going on. And I just get bored without it.
That's what I always tell people. They're like, how do you have time to do all these different things? I'm like, I just get bored easily.
Well, I'm like, how do you not? Yeah, I would just be bored out of my mind.
What else do you do?
Yeah, totally.
Well, so do your friends come to you now for advice? Like a lot of, you know, we have a lot of the same friends or whatever, but a lot of the other women your age come up and ask you for business advice, or are they trying to pick your brain on these things?
Like when we'll like talk in classes at BYU, and so we'll have like students and stuff kind of come up. That's still like so weird to me because I'm like, I feel like I'm in your same place, but I guess, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of the students probably are actually older than you, the ones you're going to speak with.
Yeah, maybe so, yeah, I don't know.
So for people listening, tell us a little bit about Linden. What do you like to do when you're not working? Obviously, this consumes a ton of your time. Mm-hmm. What are some of the other things you do, though, just, you know, that you enjoy a lot that give you satisfaction on a daily basis? Mm-hmm. What are some of the fun stuff you do?
Like, any free time I have, I'm, like, always with friends or family or, like, doing something active. I love to, well, not in the winter. But I love to be outside, doing anything outside, just exercise, all that stuff. Playing games with friends, like whatever.
Do guys get intimidated when they ask you out and find out that you have this huge, successful business that you're running?
You have to ask them. I don't know.
They get super nervous around you and stuff like that.
No, they shouldn't. I mean, yeah.
No, that's pretty cool. Well, and so what's the next step for you? You see the company staying here in Utah? Are you going to maybe move somewhere else?
So, I mean, that's what's so interesting is that we kind of just started here by chance. Like, we were both here and whatever. But now, like, all of our big clients are here, and, like, we've really had a lot of success with the MLMs in Utah. And as you know, I'm sure this is the place, for MLMs. And so I think, like, yeah, at least for the next few years, it makes sense for us to stay here. And we'll see. You never know what will change and happen. But, yeah.
I gotcha. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, and so pivoting again, so you're in these 10 different countries. What does life look like for these people that are out there that you're working with? Like, what is a daily, how many baskets or you have a couple items, and it's going to be, for those that are listening, we'll just kind of describe, but I wanted you to be able to show a couple of these type of items. So go to the YouTube if you're listening, and you can kind of see this later on.
Yeah. So this is what I was just working on in Morocco.
Okay. So this is like a little pot that's...
So this is for doTERRA, which is like an essential oils emblem. So this comes, like, they sold it with, like, little diffusing reeds.
Oh, yeah.
So they'll put oils inside.
Okay.
So, yeah, and you can see on the bottom it says handmade in Morocco for doTERRA.
So each one of these is hand-painted?
No, like hand-shaped, hand-fired, everything. Yeah, like from the beginning. So, yeah, so that's from Morocco. So we have ceramics from there. And I don't have everything, but this is leather from Guatemala. So it's, like, completely handmade. And then we can do companies' logos there. So that was for a client. Out east.
It's high material. You mentioned that you guys only like to keep it high end. You have to go in and make sure the quality is correct.
So that's a big thing is getting the quality.
Is quality control one of the hardest parts that you guys deal with? Okay.
Yeah, so that's tricky, and just the Western standards are so high. Even though it's handmade, there's, like, some understanding of, like, there can be differences, but we go in and do a lot of training with the groups on, like, just quality standards and all that stuff.
Yeah,
so
sure.
It's fun.
Okay.
This is from Morocco too. This is actually really cool. So this is tuya wood, and it's crazy. I didn't even know this until I was just there recently, but because this is kind of a new product. But so this tuya wood, it comes from these gorgeous trees. But, like, see how it's, like, speckled and everything,
it's like
especially
a jewelry
on the
box,
bottom.
or is this bowls?
So
or
this
what
is just like a bowl, but, like, they make it into everything.
That's beautiful.
What's so crazy is that, like, this like speckled kind of really cool wood only comes from the root of the tree.
Oh.
So, like, they only harvest, like, a few trees every year because they wait for the roots to get really big. And, like, because just the regular, like, bark on the normal trunk of the tree isn't spotted or speckled or anything. Okay. So it's, like, way cool.
How do you guys decide what products? Does the companies that the business-to-business companies, are they the ones that pick what they want and then you go find it? Or?
So it's just kind of a collaboration. So, like, we have, kind of an idea of, like the products that we can do. But and just in talking with clients, they'll say, like, oh, we want a product that does this, or, like, is this kind of a function? And then we'll just kind of pull some options together.
Okay.
But then a lot of the times, like with doTERRA, we totally customize the design and everything. So, like, we'll work with their design teams on that. And everything. So it's fun.
And so if somebody's listening to this right now and they're like, will say they help with a group in some random country, right? Peru or Haiti or something. Right. What, is there opportunity? Do you guys do partnerships like that? Or is that something you're looking for or not really?
Yeah, I mean, we're always open to, like, finding new artisan partners. Yeah, so totally. I mean,
And then you just kind of work with them.
And we've had it happen where a company has come to us and they've been like, hey, we want a product from this place. Do you know artisans there? And luckily now we're just, like, so tapped into kind of this network of artisan groups that we can reach out to our contacts in wherever and they'll connect us to different people. Okay. So we've been able to do that a couple times, which is nice.
Awesome.
Let's see what else. Oh, this is cool. This is from Uzbekistan.
Uzbekistan, that's like Borat.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Borat?
No, I know that though. People always say that.
It's the funniest movie. The first hour is like, I've never laughed so hard. It's completely irreverent and, like, inappropriate. Don't watch it unless you're ready to feel like a worse person. But you will laugh so hard. But,
okay,
it's the only other time I've heard of Uzbekistan.
Yeah.
But,
well, it's cool. Uzbekistan is, like, I think maybe the only, or, like, one of only 2 countries that's doubly landlocked. So, like, it and all the countries around it are landlocked. And so, it's crazy. But this is, like, silk thread. Yeah. So it's, like, all hand embroidered. It's super cool.
Okay.
So this is our baskets from Rwanda. This is, like, a really popular item that we do. So we do, like, big baskets like this, smaller ones as, like, gift baskets or whatever.
And so, like, a nice basket, because these are high quality. You can tell this is
like, really, really high quality.
Like, what do you sell, like, in bulk? How many of these are they making?
So these retail for, like, $60, like, the large size. Yeah. Smaller or less. But like, luckily that's one thing is, like, because we work directly with the artisans, we can get it for a lot cheaper.
Yeah, for sure. And then, but they're making mass. I mean, and so, like, one worker, how long would it take them to make a basket like this?
So a big one, I'm not sure. Probably they might be able to do one in a day. we did like small baskets, and so how it works is like these, like there's these big pieces of kind of like a bamboo type thing that goes around, right? And then you have like your hand dyed string that like you're stitching around this.
Wow.
Every single one of these lines is like a stitch. So you can imagine like it takes so much time, and they do it so fast. It's unbelievable. But yeah, so like our little baskets that we did, our first huge order we did in Rwanda was for 50,000 units for doTERRA.
Oh, wow.
And they were these little piece baskets from Rwanda, and those took 2 days to make for one basket.
For 50,000.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. So it was insane.
Yes.
But
that put them to work for
months.
A full year. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So it was cool.
Well, it's really cool that you're getting the local support here in Utah. That is one of the coolest things about Utah is there is a lot of economic opportunity, and with all the, like you said, the multi-level marketing companies. And we've had a few people that run multi-level marketing companies on the show. Justin Prince was on. He is one of the founders, executives at Modere.
Oh, cool.
And it's really cool. I give a lot of credit to those people as well. That industry is not an easy one to work with. So do they actually sell your products, or they give away to people?
So it just depends. Like there's a few ways that our products are used. So doTERRA has been, so like the first year it was kind of like a package thing for the holidays. So they sold like our little piece basket with a piece oil. And the piece basket is really cool. The reason they kind of coupled that together is because I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Rwandan genocide, but I was in 1994. And so
I've seen like the
Hotel
movie.
Rwanda. Yeah. I've been there. It's pretty cool.
You have? Okay.
Yeah. What's so cool about that is that like they have like a little thing out in the parking lot that's like a tribute to it. But like the coolest part is that it's like totally up and running, and like it's been renovated, and I'm like, yeah, like you guys.
That's cool. He was hiding all the people there, right? In the hotel.
Yeah, but so cool. But yeah, so in Rwanda, so after the genocide, you had the two groups, the Hutu and the Tutsi, that were kind of warring during this whole thing. And afterwards, there were so many women, especially who were widowed. So many women who are widowed and children who are now orphans. And so you have this huge population of women who, one, are like alone and trying to fend for their kids, and all these other orphans that are family members and whatever. And then also just who don't have jobs, and like they have this huge family to provide for on their own now. And so women came together, and basket weaving had always been something that was just traditional there. But after the genocide, it became just a lot more significant because women started grouping in cooperatives and would make baskets like for profit, like to, help provide for their families. Right. And then this piece basket, especially, there's like a little design that's like a Z. And it's like supposed to symbolize like the two groups coming together and just forming one, which is like, and now it's just Rwandan. It's actually really interesting when you're in country there, you do not speak like the words Hutu and Tutsi. It's just like never said.
They love being combined.
Yeah, like we are Rwandans, and it's like all about unity and everything.
Very cool.
The piece basket was like a really cool story. But
so is Rwanda the favorite place you've been of all these countries, or where would you say is your favorite place you've visited?
It's so hard. I don't know. I mean, Uganda has my heart just because I've spent so much time there.
Sure.
Yeah, and I love the people there so much. But I mean, Uganda, like the standard of living is low. Yeah. So you
wouldn't necessarily make that your vacation spot, but you love going there.
I love going there. Like most people wouldn't.
Yeah,
probably.
That's kind of how I feel about Haiti. Like it really is. There's like 4 buildings that shouldn't be condemned in the entire country, but I just love the people.
Yeah.
It's like it took me 2 trips to find a grocery store, but
Yeah. But yeah, you just fall in love, and So I don't know. I mean, other than that, I got to go to Peru this year, which was really cool. Like Lima, I would love to just live in Lima for like a year and just learn Spanish and hang. But Morocco's really, really cool. We've been working with that group there, and it's really pretty out there too. So I don't have a favorite. I can't pick.
That's okay. Well, no, for me, traveling in general, it just opens your eyes to so many different things and ideas and peoples and everything else and cultures, right? And so I think it's one of the reasons why I think it's one of the most important things that you can do is travel and go see the world, because you're just that empathy and that level of understanding of another group. It's totally different. Well,
and it's just like nothing is better for perspective than getting outside of
100%.
You know what I mean? Like, every time. And I mean, the first couple of times I was in Uganda, I came back and it was like really hard for me to adjust, because there, I don't know, just life is so different. And I felt like when you're there, you don't have like all these other levels of just like society and culture. And it's such a blessing that we're developed enough that we have that here. But when you're stripped of all of that, you kind of just, it's like so clear what matters in life. Like it's like your family, your faith, your friends, you know what I mean? And just like working hard to build a better future. And sometimes I think those things get clouded when when we bring in all these other aspects of culture and society here.
Yeah.
So yeah, nothing is better than to like cleanse the palate than just to go to Africa, and it's really the best.
I love it. So somebody is listening to this podcast right now, they want to help. They're inspired by what you're doing. I mean, who wouldn't be? But how can they get involved? What's the best way? What do you guys need, I guess, as an organization?
So, it's hard now because, like, now that we are totally business to business, like, we're not selling directly to people. And it's hard because I have friends who are like, oh, I love that blanket or whatever. And I'm like, sorry.
You're like, join the middle.
Yeah. But, yeah, exactly, right? Like, go talk
join
to them.
New Skin.
Yeah, exactly. But, yeah, I mean, if people have a business that does, like, gifting or something like that where they feel like there's a need for their company to show that they care about the global community and do it in a way that's not just throwing money at a charity, then yeah, send them our way. But otherwise, I mean, we're grateful for the support. We'll probably be hiring pretty soon. And
are you looking for people that want to go and travel to these other countries at this point, and people that want to go and help find more opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, so we'll need that. Yeah, we'll need that, but then also just people here in the States to do sales and marketing and things like that. So yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, pretty inspiring.
Thank you.
Keep it up. This is awesome, and glad to call you a friend and glad to have you on the podcast.
Likewise. Thanks for having me, Jimmy.
Thanks, Linden.